Hello. So for my last video in this adaptability theme, I want to talk about the difference between doing the planning and doing the work. Because in my opinion, the key to being really, really good at adapting is really having a great balance between both of those things. Because if you're constantly taking action and just throwing yourself into thing after thing after thing without really doing much strategic planning, well, I mean, you can go far, but do you really know where you're going to end up? Probably not, because you haven't done much planning to kind of create a direction for that action. But even so, I will say that actually far more often than seeing somebody kind of taking action without planning, I see someone doing a lot of planning without necessarily actually taking action and doing it. So the key to adapting well, first of all, don't be afraid to not be perfect and don't be afraid to fail. Or rather, it's okay to be afraid to not be perfect and to be afraid to fail, but just do stuff anyway. And really, it comes down to, honestly, I would say about 20% planning, maybe 30% if you're an intense planner like us, and 70 to 80% action. And I think it's important to make sure that you're understanding how much time you're putting into planning versus how much time you're putting into taking action. Now, really simple way to do this is to kind of look at your week or look at your month and see how much time is being allocated to those things, right? And I'm a huge fan of blocking out time because if you have it on your calendar, it's there. Everybody knows you're doing it. Maybe you have distractions turned off. It's a lot easier to do something when you've set aside the time for it instead of constantly trying to find like 5 or 10 minutes in between other things or meetings or et cetera to do something. So make sure you have a little bit of planning time on your calendar, right? We're big fans of the traction EOS method. So typically in a calendar year, and this is not exactly the way they do it, but we have one full day per quarter, as well as two kind of half days for marketing and sales ahead of time. And then basically like a 2 hour session to like disseminate everything to the team. And then we also have hour-long meetings every week to talk about each kind of different, let's say hour to hour and a half, depending on it, to talk about each wing of the business. But right now, with COVID, with the new normal, with whatever it is that you're dealing with, this might not work for you, right? We had to totally adjust our planning time to respond to this. Lately, we've just basically been doing a few hours every month within this quarter. Normally we spend, as I said, about a day a quarter to just reassess where we're at. We're still doing things like setting themes and setting goals, but we're doing it kind of a lot more quick and dirty because, well, in a time like this, it's easy to be like just taking action without really planning and like kind of knee jerk. Okay, I'm gonna go borrow money here. I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna lay people off. I'm gonna do all this different stuff. And taking some time to actually just list out those problems. I talk a lot about how to IDS, identify, discuss, solve issues lists in different videos and different podcasts. With somebody else to bounce ideas off of, if you can, whether that's a mentor, a business advisor, someone on your leadership team, even someone who's not on your leadership team in your team who has enough perspective to be able to maybe help you understand what's going on in your own brain. Oh man, it can be so good for clarifying things. But make sure that you're not just reassessing everything every day or every week because things are changing rapidly and it can become really, really overwhelming if you're just making decision after decision after decision and you're not actually taking action or gaining traction. Now, if you want to adapt well to this or to any situation, like I said, it really comes down to not being afraid to take action, or again, being afraid and taking the action anyway, but making sure that the action you're taking is all leading in the same direction. Now, in my last video, one of my last videos, I talked about pivoting within your vision, within your values. I talked about considering the digital revolution. These are all things that can be part of your planning to make sure that the action that you're taking is appropriate. But if you have to freaking block out time to take action, I'm going to be honest, I block out time to make these videos. I've had some stuff going on and it was a little bit overwhelming and I didn't get to it for a week or two. And someone on my team held me accountable and was like, hey, I know you have this block. Could you get this in particular done by the end of the block? And so here I am, I'm doing the work, right? Having somebody to hold you accountable, also very valuable. And between blocking out the time and having other people to hold you accountable, perhaps set deadlines. As a leader, I think this is doubly important, not less important, because we are the boss. Sometimes can be a little bit, deadlines can be a little bit flexible to our whim. But that is not always good for the team, and that is not always good in these types of situations where time is of the essence. And making sure that the action that you're taking is timely to the situation is critical. Anyway, as I said, 20 to 30% planning, 70 to 80% action. I hope you too can fail fast and adapt well. And I hope you just have a great rest of your day.